Welcome to Advocate Today. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. After 40 years, we finally have a History of the World Part 2. Mel Brooks's original film tackled the history of humanity. It began with the Stone Age and ended by saying History of the World Part 2 coming soon. Brooks writes and executive produced on Part 2, and rather than a movie, it's a series on Hulu. I had the honor of speaking to series stars Wanda Sykes and Pamela Adlon about the show's humor, but also how it centers women and BIPOC people in ways that traditional history classes have ignored. Congratulations on History of the World Part 2.
Thank you.
And I'd like to begin because I think he's been a part of so many people's lives. And do you have an earliest memory of Mel Brooks in your consciousness?
Yes, I remember watching History of the World, and it was on TV.
Mm.
And because I remember the scene where it comes down with the scrolls with tablets. Yeah, I give you these 15. He drops with up 10 commandments. I remember that because I remember my mother being in the room.
Mhm.
And she's pretty religious. And my mother's seeing this, and she's just like, "What is this mess you watching? What is this?
Oh.
What is this mess you're watching?" And just a light bulb went off that, oh, this is funny. And I love this. I want to
Mhm.
see more of this because if this is how I get the response out of her, yeah, this is it for me.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you for that. Something that struck me, obviously, the show is incredibly funny and silly, but there's a little bit of a social thread running through it. And I think, and what I noticed, especially was this kind of handing back some stories to folks who were historically denied their stories. Like there's Jesus is Black, as is Mary and Mary Magdalene. And then, of course, you get to play Shirley Chisholm and Harriet Tubman in separate sketches. Would you talk a little bit about the arrival at Shirley as a 70s sitcom in the vein of, Good Times or The Jeffersons, and how you arrived at that conclusion? Also, what it means to highlight her.
Well, just to back up as far as you saying with that there's a social thread. Yeah, that definitely was intentional.
Yeah,
Because that's part of what Mel created.
yeah,
Um, it wasn't necessarily so political and going after whoever was in charge. Mel is more. It was more of it is like who's the leader, who's where's the hypocrisy,
mhm,
and going after those more like those positions.
yeah,
So yeah, so we did some of that in our version of it. Surely we were all just putting out names of historical characters that we were interested in, and I've always had a thing for Shirley Chisholm.
mm,
So I just put it out there to see what the guys thought. And it was like, yeah. And I think Nick's dad actually worked on her campaign, or was somehow involved with Shirley Chisholm. And and then the guys, they said, hey, how about let's do a sitcom, a 70s sitcom. And
yeah,
this was the last tent pole actually that we wrote. Um, and I was like, that's a great idea because it's 70s. It feels like that time, like we can Norman Lear it, but we can
yeah,
also have fun with the format of doing a multicam. All the tropes of of sitcom, the audience, woo, and all that stuff. So yeah,
yeah,
we just had it, and it just really just kind of flowed. It just really made sense
yeah.
to put Shirley in that world.
Mm.
Um, and also, it was. I hope you got it, that the admiration that we have for her. It's not making fun of Shirley. It was just making fun of the whole situation, and as far as the political environment back then that still exists. Today, and how Shirley really forged that whole grassroots movement, and also knowing the value of your vote. Like, even if you don't win, if you make yourself present and you see that you have some power, some political power, that's what you want to
Yeah.
get the projects and things that you want accomplished.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely comes through in the piece, and I really enjoyed it. And I have to kind of geek out for a moment, you have Marla Gibbs in this piece. What was that like to work with Marla?
I adore Marla Gibbs. I just owe her so much. As far as because all the roles that we're doing now, Marla Gibbs pretty much set the stage for all of that, and to still be sharp and just just on top of it, and she is so excited coming to work, um but to be able to do that with her, because when I got to do the Jeffersons, when we did
Oh,
the
right.
live, yeah, when we did the
Yeah.
live Jeffersons, and Marla was on that, I was like, okay, I any opportunity that I can get to work with Marla Gibbs, I'm doing it. I want her, I'm gonna try to make it happen.
I want to begin by asking you about your kind of earliest recollection of Mel Brooks in your life.
Free to be you and me.
Oh,
Free to be you and me. And I
well,
and I memorized, hi, hi. I'm a baby. Well, what do you think I am? A loaf of bread? Well, you could be. I don't know nothing yet. I'm in I don't know if I'm in a hospital or what. I'm just so glad to be here. And it was him and Marlo Thomas
mhm.
and their voices. And I imitated both of them. And it probably set the stage for my entire life,
I
my
love.
career. And then the 1,000-year-old man, the
Yes.
3,000-year-old man, or the 1,000-year-old man.
I
I
have
mean,
a vague memory of that one.
these things are huge, huge in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was such a big part of so many of our childhoods.
Yeah.
And also, I don't want to take too much time on the past, but the movie History of the World was so impactful and quotable. Do you remember your first time encountering that?
Yeah, I don't remember the first time because it was just like something that's in my DNA,
Yeah.
because I'm the kid of a comedy writer and producer. And so, Mel Brooks was just like a Jesus in my house,
Mhm.
which is a funny thing to say about Mel Brooks, but
Right.
um, how just it's that the scale and the production value alone, it felt like you were watching Lawrence of Arabia or Ben-Hur, and then he was doing all these outrageous naughty things, naughty, and
The
you know,
Inquisition.
oh my God. And things that, you look at it now and you're like, oh, please, I hope people don't weaponize this shit the way the world is right now, and it was just good fun and really, really still funny. And just, I mean, the greatest actors of that time. And I remember Gregory Hines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there. It's in my bones.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. Well, turning to History of the World Part Two, I think there's something, this is hilarious, but it's also there's something a little serious about it in that a lot of these sketches are handing back narratives to people who weren't allowed them. Like women are getting to tell their stories and Black people. And it's really kind of a fascinating way in. And would you talk a little bit about your character who is, you know, a Russian revolutionary?
Well, I think one of my daughters was not into me doing it because the Russia had just invaded Ukraine and it's been a year, which is unbelievably horrible to say. But she was afraid, and I was like, "They're not going to find out. It's okay." And I mean, what do you say when Nick Kroll texts you and says, "Will you play my wife in History of the World Part 2?" And I said, "Voice or face parts?" And he said, "Face parts." And I was like, "Yeah." And so it just was, we had the most incredible time.
Thank you so much to Wanda and Pamela for joining me. They're both comedic geniuses in their own right. History of the World Part 2 is streaming now on Hulu, and we will have more from the cast coming up. Until then, my full interviews with Hollywood's biggest stars are available to watch on the Advocate Channel YouTube page. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. I'll see you next time.